Hello, hello, Theaters International patrons. This is Adi, and boy, is Olympiacos getting in the thick of it with the transfer spree. I literally just recorded a scouting report a few days ago for Lorenzo Scipioni, and here we go again with the third report of the summer and the second in a space of a week. So this time we have ourselves a very interesting talent. We have Diego Nascimento, who is coming to us from Portugal, crafty midfielder, creative player that the club was looking to bring in to replace Andre Horta, Marco Stamenic, depending on how you look at it with regards to Scipione, and to offer a creativity level that we initially expected from these players. Now, the latest on Diogo's deal is that the fee is 3.9 million euro, which is split evenly between Vizela and Benfica. Both players have, or both clubs have 50% sell-on fees for the player himself. So Benfica actually even also had a clause where they could match an offer that was made by another club for Diogo. They elected not to match the offer and to let the purchase proceed. So he'll be signing a 4-year contract with Olympiacos, and we're excited to see how he starts with the club. Now let's get started with the scouting report. So Diogo Nascimento is a 22-year-old left-footed central mid. He has been advertised as a number 8, and a number 8 he is. Little on the smaller side, 5'5", 1.6 meters, about 166 centimeters. Only 61 kilogram is what he's weighing in at, 134 pounds. So he's not a really big body. Now, Diogo's profile is everything that the fans want to see in a football player, let alone a central midfielder. He has an incredible close touch, very low center of gravity, incredibly sublime first touch as well, guys. Not ridiculously fast or agile, but the way he moves the ball and he keeps it close, he's able to change direction fast enough. And he also reacts very quickly to where when opponents are coming to close us down, where their feet go, and he reacts to that very quickly and effectively to give himself momentum and the advantage to take advantage of them maybe challenging too early or trying to get stuck in a little bit too easily. What's more is he does have incredible control and awareness of the position of his hips. You're going to notice a lot. He shifts his body weight as he's dribbling onto his hips, and he'll get the full weight of his body against his opponent as he shields the ball or turns against them. It's really interesting to see. And it's part of what makes him so difficult to be dispossessed. Given that has a smaller build, it's no surprise to see him really so good at this. I mean, because as a player, if you're going to succeed at the top level, if you're a smaller guy, you have to learn how to keep the ball. Not everybody can be Messi and just be amazing and dribble through everybody. You have to have ways that you can defend yourself against players that are coming to steal the ball from you. And he has figured this out. He's very clever, and he has other tools and tricks at his disposal to keep himself with the ball at his feet and to keep himself away from opponents. He has some flair, the occasional step over here and there, cut back, Cruyff style, flicks the ball over his opponents pretty frequently. And when he just carries the ball in general, he is so much fun to watch. The signing is a central midfield option, not a defensive mid option. And we'll get into a little bit of the difference between there. The club signaled that it was looking for an 8. It was looking for a player that could be more creative and press further up if they wanted to. In some cases, Greek media was labeling him as like the Plan B or the Adi Milla. For those of you that remember, Luis Milla from Getafe was our first choice, but they refused to back down from their over 5 million asking price for a 30-year-old center mid. So is Nascimento really an Adi Milla? Is he really a plan B, an exact mold? Well, we're going to dive into this, and we are going to find that out for ourselves. So, as we always start, We're going to start with goal creation. Before I start talking about his direct goal contributions and his direct goal creations or shot creations, even, I want to preface this section by telling you guys that we're not signing this player because he represents a goal threat himself, just in case that wasn't clear. Compared to other center mids in second division Portugal, he does see a pretty large volume of shot opportunities. You can see his direct goal contribution and shot contributions in the red section of the bar chart here. So, as I mentioned, larger volume of shot opportunities compared to other center mids. Overall, pretty decent XG as well compared, but Vizela is one of the more dominant offenses in the Portuguese second division in terms of final third entries and overall possession. So that success that he has is due in part to his team just being in the final third more often. They get the ball in the final third more, so he's more likely to see chances. So just bear that in mind as we're talking about him having more volume than others. That being said, he's only scored one professional goal so far in his career, and that was this past season for Vizela. The goal was a fortunate deflection off of the post. It went right to his feet and for a wide open shot. In U23 play, the goals he scored are very similar, kind of deflections or maybe a cross. He gets managed to be left wide open and he gets a free open header, or maybe it's a shot off a cross from his feet, things like that. I mean, it's usually a massive mistake from a defender that leaves him wide open, and he's been able to score off of that. Shot placement is a bit below average. Shot power is also kind of lacking. I'm not expecting 2 to 3 goals from this player in a season, and that would be really quite the feat for him if he's able to do that. As far as assist creation goes, relative to other midfields, he's relatively average, just above the average, really. And while he underperforms relative to his expected assists, it's an idea that there's sustainability in his production. Most of his assists, or shot assists, as we'll say, they come from short passes in and around the penalty area. He draws a defender to him and he just lays it off to a player in front of him or to his side. Not much in terms of crosses. Does create some nice opportunities, though, if he's able to draw a defender out, dribble them, takes the space, and then forces a defender that he's running on to make a decision between him and another player. He's made quite a bit of those opportunities. So, like I was saying, during goal creation, Vizela, the team that he was playing for in the second division, they spend more time in the final third than most other teams in the Portuguese second division. So I think the context with which he operates or has operated with the team is very similar to what it would be with Olympiacos. So I think what we're seeing here is something that is very valid, and it's a similar context to what he have here, and it's something that we should expect. Now, he works well in one-touch pass and moves, sees a solid number of touches when the ball gets into him in and around the penalty area. Because of his dribbling ability and quick thinking in close quarters, it really does feel like he could be a great option to not only unlock our wingers, but really help us break down some of these parked buses we come against in Greece. Now, the white section for the chart, for those of you that aren't aware, maybe you forgot, the white section of the chart is where we look at a lot of the build-up and the possession stats that the players have when we do the scouting reports. Now, the reason we're buying Diogo is for what he offers us in build-up and in possession. He's very much a number 8, as described by Greek media. They got this one right. He covers so much ground, and he's so comfortable with seeing heavy volume on the ball from end to end. And it's so difficult, I brought this up before, for opponents to press against him because he's so crafty with the ball at his feet. He doesn't take a lot of unnecessary risks, especially if he's building up in the defensive third of the field. Settled on being a focal point in progressing the ball forward as well. One of the highest pass accuracies in second division, while also having one of the highest volumes, highest touch counts in the Portuguese second division. Huge volume of progressive passes and balls into the final third. You can see that in the white section of the bar chart up there. And while he primarily will receive the ball directly from the defense in the back four, especially on a restart, he helps throughout the course of possession. He's always involved from end to end, box to box. He's involved in play. He can drift wide. He helps out. He helps out in the wider areas if the possession calls for it. But he's really the most effective if he can just stay centrally. If he gets too pushed out wide, he loses a lot of his effectiveness. And I saw many occasions where he would come out wide, and he didn't really do much with the ball when he was called to go out wide. He operates the best in the central areas. So if he can stay central, he really gives you a lot more. Not that he can't be functional out wide, but he's much easier to close down than when he has more space in the middle of the field and he's able to kind of do whatever he wants and distribute to whatever he wants. Much better in that middle section of the field, way more control. As I brought up earlier, he has a tremendous first touch. And you'll see, especially in build-up when transitions are occurring or the counters occurring, his first touch can create so much space for him in many different respects. I mean, I watched balls coming from the air, switches from upfield or downfield or crossfield come to him. And he would be running, and there would be a player or two trying to close him down before he receives the ball. And just his ridiculous touch, he just kind of flicks it over somebody or flicks it into a direction away from where a defender's running, and he just immediately gives himself space and creates a transition just from that. It's explaining it feels kind of weird, but you will know what I'm talking about when you see him. So I mean, and I've seen his first touch spark off the counter, spark off a transition, create a shot opportunity immediately, or just get him out of congestion in general. He is just as capable carrying the ball forward as he is progressing the ball forward. Very much a dual threat in that respect. Now, Diogo, as I mentioned earlier, has been touted as an Adi Milla, a plan B for Luis Milla, the player from Getafe that we were targeted. But when we look how he plays in possession, he is not close to that profile at all. Milla is closer to a Jan and Villa. Plays deeper in the midfield, can distribute wide constantly, likes to be in front of the defensive line. Now, Milla also for Getafe had a very large number of shot creating actions, especially for a guy that was playing on a team that's not usually possession dominant. And he could also do some work for you on the defensive side of the ball. Diogo in possession is a completely different prospect. He moves box to box, central to possession, while also being able to dribble players head on. He's much less of a Luis Milla in this respect, and he's much more of an in-bomb Huang. For those of you that remember him from the 22-23 season, that little disaster season that we had. The only difference here is that in-bomb is bigger. He's a bigger person physically, slightly more agile. But Diogo has a higher overall pass accuracy, and the way he carries the ball, he uses his hips a lot more when shielding and defending himself versus Inbom just kind of dribbled and would use his speed, his craftiness to just get around you. He was less physical in that respect. Now, some of you have asked me how it's possible that a player with this much skill, all the highlight videos you guys have been watching, how is this guy playing in second division in Portugal? How has he not been picked up by other teams? And his defensive traits, which we're going to talk about now, are part of the reason why he has not yet seen a top sides roster. He's not the largest. And if you remember from the player's characteristics that I was telling you guys about earlier, he's just over 130 pounds. Not a big body at all, which means sticking into challenges, he's going to get muscled off more often than not. And then what's worse is his positioning is not that great either. I mean, he leaves so many holes. And I watched a multitude of counters, transitions that go through his side of the field. And he gets caught out where he shouldn't have been, probably because he was just coming off of a transition. This is going to be a problem for Jose Luis Mendilibar. Because while this kid is incredibly gifted on the ball, at the very least, in order to operate with Mendilibar, under Mendilibar's system, you need to be functional closing players down, at least like Muzakitis. So if you're ever going to be used consistently in the midfield, if you're Diogo, you need to learn how to at least be able to close players down aggressively like Christos Mouzakitis does. And if anyone can fix this, it is Mendilibar. But if he can't, then the value that this player has in the system will be tremendously low, like Marko Stamenic. So, as things stand, I don't really see a player in the short term that can function in the press trap of the center mids for Mendilibar. Now, since he does cover a lot of ground, literally the whole field when I say that, there is a silver lining here. Even if he's not effective in recovering the ball for us, he could have use in the Chiquinho role, just running and applying pressure on the press and the front line and really giving you an option, a creative option going into the final third. But as long as he is ineffective in the press, he will not be an important part of Mendilibar's system. As far as his ability in the air goes, add bad positioning to poor physical attributes, and you have someone that's really non-existent in set pieces unless he's able to get space on a set piece situation, and there are not many of them. So unless he gets lucky, a deflection, or somebody just makes an error and isn't marking at all, and he's left free, his area ability is more or less non-existent. Now, earlier in this report, I discussed with you guys how I thought he resembled more of an Inbom Huang in possession. Now, bringing it more recent, especially when it comes to players under Mendilibar, I wanted to compare him to a player that I thought he would be replacing the role of. In this case, it's Andre Horta. Andre Horta represents a player that could best link the midfield and the front line under Mendilibar, especially this past season. We didn't have a lot of players that could do that. It was unfortunate that Horta was hurt for so long and injured and missed so many games because we were really missing that link that could really figure out how we could transition better to our front line from the midfield. And it was an issue we had for so much in this season. Now, Andre Horta couldn't dribble at players or really take them on. That wasn't his thing. He could move the ball and distribute it quickly and well and move, pass and move. He knew where everybody was. He had great vision. Diogo represents a similar proposition, only he has dribbling ability, where Horta does not. Like Diogo, Andre Horta was not functional in the press either. Really was just an option for us going forward with the ball. Diogo doesn't have the Europa League or European competition experience that Horta had with us. So in that respect, he represents more of a risk. He's a younger kid. He's a wild card. You don't know how he's going to adjust to this. But this is the nature of these types of replacements when you roll the dice on somebody that's younger and with less top-level experience. Now, if we're putting aside the risk associated with Diogo due to his lack of top-level experience, the real difference between him and Horta, even if he does assimilate into the pressing scheme of Mendilibar, the key word of all of this is potential. Even though Horta spent most of his last season injured with us, from January when he returned on loan, that is, he did demonstrate that he still had that unique link between the midfield and the forward line that we didn't have in the roster. Diogo, with his dribbling ability and penchant for drawing defenders, could be an extra level than what Horta offers. I mean, just look at the radar chart. Look how tight and close it is. You have Horta with a couple slightly better possession-based attributes, but Diogo has so many similar things, but he's better when it comes to dribbling. He's better on the shot creation aspect of it. So they're so similar in the types of roles that they can fill, but Diogo just hasn't spent a lot of time playing top flight. He's been in the second division. He's been playing U23, U21, especially for his national team. And that's a far cry from first division football, let alone UEFA Champions League. So it's very important when we're doing this comparison to Andre Horta that we remember this. The difference between second division football and a player that's played in Europa League, Champions League, and things like that. Now, as we come to the end of the scouting report, this is where I give you guys my verdict. And for our third transfer of the summer, The scouted find is pretty nuanced, but it continues to purvey the message that the club has been sending throughout this transfer summer and even from last year. We're focusing on primarily young players with potential and resale value. I know that a lot of fans are upset that the club didn't fork out the money for Luis Milla. Mendilibar wanted him. He was $5 million. Most people said you should have just paid the money. You sold Bobby's Costulas. We're guaranteed about 30 million euros for the Champions League. Why can't we just spend 5 million on the players that Mendilibar wants? And my retort to that is, first things first, I don't care how much money we make. Spending 5 million euros on a deep midfielder that's 30 years old is not the best business. 30 years old and with very little resale value, you are buying him to A, win the title, and B, do something for your Champions League. And let me ask you something. Do you need him to win the Greek Super League? No. Is his presence really going to make the difference for us in the Conference League? Well, I guess we won't know since he's not coming. While I appreciate the talent that Luis Milla has, as well as his locker room presence at Getafe, I really don't think that we're missing out on that much. His data was not that great, despite the fact that he was MVP for Getafe. Even if we did buy him and spend the 5 million, I don't think Luis Milla would come in here necessarily as a day in and day out starter. We know who our starters are currently. Is he a great depth option or a great option to have, especially if you want to be more conservative in the Champions League? Sure. I don't think right now he comes in and unseats anybody. He comes in as a great option that will be fighting for a space. Same goes for Diogo Nascimento. Diogo's not coming in here as a starter. I mean, if he has an amazing preseason, sure, but as of right now, no, sir. He's not coming in as a starter. But Diogo Nascimento at 3.9 million euros, way better value than Luis Milla is at 5 million, even with the added risk. Diogo's not a Champions League ready asset. So he's not ready, not a Champions League ready asset. He's not going to be a starter for the foreseeable future. His role is most likely going to replace what Andre Horta did for us, which he wasn't a starter either. Came on, gave you a little bit of extra offensive capability. And Diogo represents upside comparable to what Mbam Juan gave us. You guys remember that. I'm not expecting Diogo to be a genius for us off the bat. I think long term, we'll have an option here that will help us unlock defenses, especially in Greece. I don't see him unseating Mouzakitis in the center mid area unless he vastly improves his capabilities, especially on the defensive side of things. But for now, he's a great depth option in deep midfield, maybe even higher up the pitch, just like Horta was. So all of this being said, I mean, I'm giving this player, this signing, a thumbs up. Solid find in second division Portugal, heavy upside, and a little bit of risk. We're hoping he integrates well to Greece and, more importantly, into Mendilibar's pressing system. Value-wise, I'd find it hard to believe that we wouldn't be able to recoup 3.9 million for a player like this, even if he doesn't become a starter, ever. If he shows his ball skills in one decent Champions League match where he plays pretty well, as long as he doesn't shit the bed, you are going to make profit off of this guy. Now, despite the fact that I might like the transfer, I still have plenty of questions about the most important area of the pitch for us right now, which is the wing position. But I'm willing to wait until the end of the window to see how things pan out. For now, we're going into preseason with what I consider to be 3 upgrades from the signings we've made so far. Remy Cabella, Lorenzo Scipioni, and now Diogo Nascimento. These are 3 upgrades considering what was going out. And that alone makes me excited, and I'm putting my faith in the club that they'll find the quality winger that we all want. I hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive. I hope you enjoyed the scouting report. I hope you learned something more about Diogo Nascimento. It's the 3rd scouting report of the summer, and with preseason ahead of us this week, maybe we get a break from the transfer talk and we can enjoy some summer friendlies. If not, I'll be back here to evaluate the next player that joins us. So this is Adi. And I hope you guys enjoyed the scouting report again. I'll see you next time for hopefully one of the two wingers or both wingers that we're supposed to be bringing in.